definitely a treat. I have not seen this deck in action. I'm going to try my best to give ample analysis. We will see.
It's very... so it's a very hit-or-miss deck. Similar, sort of, to Rayquaza, in that you want to open with your Zygarde, Ultra Ball away, or somehow discard Fighting Energy. And then if you have a double colorless to attach to your Zygarde, you can Cell Connector. Then you can accelerate those 2 Fighting Energy to the Zygarde, and then you can start using Land's Wrath for 130. And you also have Verdict GX, which deals 150, and then you are protected from GX and EX attacks on your next turn. Of course, Zygarde has some kind of gimmicky things that you can do with Bonnie to reuse its GX attack. That's not what we're going to be seeing here. This is Zygarde with Lycanroc to manipulate the board state, and then with Buzzwole splashed in there as well.
Yep, that is what we are going to be seeing out of Klive. On the other side, Seitaro is going to be playing a Zoroark GX, Lycanroc GX. I guess it's a very standard list, honestly. I've got to see a little bit of the prize cards. Actually, jumping right into the game here.
All right.
Seitaro does have double puzzle in the prizes. Klive does have 1 Zygarde. Not too relevant, but look at this. Seitaro basically bridged it on his opening turn and used N.
All righty then. I'm sure he's happy about that. Whereas for Klive, we have that Rockruff starter. That's not ideal, but certainly not anything that he can't come back from with a well-timed Zygarde or even an active Lycanroc, I suppose.
Yep. From Klive here, he does have some energy acceleration in the form of the Max Elixir. However, he doesn't have a Pokemon on the bench here that he really wants to start to charge up. Looks like he's trying to figure out what's the best way I can get my hand all the way down with these Ultra Balls and then use my Oranguru to help out. And it looks like he's spotting Ultra Ball. I think the Ultra Ball... Oh, interesting. Okay, so he's going to go ahead and look through. I assume this is grabbing Zygarde. And then when he grabs Zygarde, he can attach to it, refill his hand with Oranguru. He has Ultra Ball in hand, and that can always grab Tapu Lele if he didn't troll into anything too well. So it's a nice way to hedge your bets, make sure that you get a little bit of something now, and you definitely have something after using your Oranguru's ability.
Yeah, this is a deck that really wants to get a very fast start onto the board. If you don't have that Zygarde, you really need to search that out very quickly. It does have the Buzzwole GX and the non-GX Buzzwole for some alternate lines. There are alternate ways that you can take those knockouts, but Zygarde is going to be your fastest tool to be able to accelerate that damage and start dealing 130 damage by turn 2 or turn 3 at the latest.
Right. So Klive here, honestly, I'm not sure what cards he wants to see off of this. If he ran into Supporter plus Floatstone, he'd feel pretty great. He wouldn't have to use that Ultra Ball, but if you only see one piece, you're left in an awkward spot. You're going to use Ultra Ball, and then you're going to have to discard something important. So able to find a Fighting Energy, that's actually very important for his Cell Connector. He's going to get that and potentially have a turn 1 attack. Yeah, he does have that Guzma.
Okay.
So very nice start here.
And we can see that Klive is running a 4-stadium split. He has 2 copies of Brooklet Hill to search out those fighting Pokemon, and then 2 copies of Scorched Earth for additional card draw, because he is running 10 total fighting energy. So you do have some extras on occasion that you can toss for additional resources.
Yep. Klive does have the Diancie Prism Star in play, so Cell Connector, turn 1, 70 damage, 4 energies on the active Pokemon. Not bad.
That's Zygarde.
That is not Zygarde. How does Zygarde do this?
It's, I would say maybe 5 times out of 10 it can do this.
Okay.
Half the time you're feeling really good. You're like, this deck is awesome. Nothing can beat me. And then the other half of the time, you have absolutely nothing to work with.
I'm going to have to try this out.
I've got it over there if you want. Feel free. Yeah. Go take it and play a pod.
I've got a break after this. I can make some time.
But in all seriousness, it's an inconsistent deck. It's one of those that can be very explosive if you have good fortune. But certainly not nearly as consistent as all of the Zoroark variants and Buzzwole variants that we're seeing.
Yeah, I think that's the problem that this deck ran into when it was first being made. People were trying to make room for the Bonnie so you could get that sweet combination that was built into the game for you. However, it ran into consistency issues, and that's where Klive didn't give up on the deck. He actually just went in and found more consistency cards to help him out. He added in Scorched Earth to make sure that energies were hitting the discard pile and he was drawing more cards. He added in a Rangaroo so that when he dropped his whole hand, he could draw in more cards, and now he's finding ways to potentially get this 70, 80, who knows how many percents of the time he's getting this start that he wants.
Yeah, I actually quite like this build. Oranguru instead of a Remoraid Octillery line, which is rather common when you're playing Brooklet Hill, of course. And you have the added Buzzwole GX for just that little bit of pressure. You can still just attach a Fighting Energy and Jet Punch. You're playing 2 Strong Energy in the list as well. So there are a lot of situations where you can get those turn 2 knockouts.
Yep. Seitaro, he drew into a really, really good hand. He has multiple Zoroark, so trades are online. He's going to go ahead and use one of those now. I really think he'd be looking for a Pokemon that doesn't get knocked out here. However, I don't know what he can do to survive in a spot like this. He does have Tapu Lele as an attacker. That could get a pretty decent amount of damage onto the Zygarde without immediately being knocked out. So if he finds another double colorless energy, he has that available, but hasn't found it yet from what I've seen.
Now, even just with Land's Wrath, because of the fighting weakness on Zoroark, Klive will have knockouts whenever he pretty much wants them.
Yep.
But there is also that added Verdict GX edge, which does make the Zygarde immune to GX and EX attacks for the next turn. So it'll be interesting to see exactly when he decides to go with that ability, because in this matchup in particular, there are very few non-GX and EX Pokemon for Seitaro, and that could be very powerful later on.
You look at this, Seitaro, generally against fighting decks, he's going to use that Mew to start taking knockouts. Zygarde has a grass weakness, so he doesn't actually get to take any advantage from that Mew. He's going to just keep going through his deck. I think he wants to find that Rockruff. If he's able to get that into play, then he can put himself in a situation where Verdict won't be as big of an issue for him. He may be able to use cards like Guzma or the Lycanroc effect to get him a decent attack, or maybe just bring it back up and finish it off if he combines both Guzma and Bloodthirsty Eyes.
That's a good point. It does take a turn of Cell Connector to be able to set up another Zygarde to actually use Land's Wrath or Verdict GX. So if Seitaro is able to get a knockout on this first Zygarde, then Klive could have to take an entire turn off to set up, essentially.
Right. And that's where Klive would love to start getting some energy acceleration of his own. He's going to play his whole hand out and try to draw into something here. And that is not good.
Well, going to have to take another turn to instruct, because he can't do much right now. That is going to be Verdict GX there, so knocking out the Zygarde, taking 2 prizes, and now, or knocking out the Zoroark, excuse me, and now Zygarde is immune to GX and EX attacks for the next turn.
Yep, in a very good spot here. Seitaro is going to try to figure it out. It looks like if he promotes Tapu Lele and has the combination of the Guzma plus the Bloodthirsty Eyes, he could remove this Zygarde from the board. However, he would go to 4 prizes, and that's when Sledgehammer is at its strongest. So very, very dangerous waters here. Also, I love how the eyewear matches the sleeves. That is something else, Seitaro. Well done.
Fancy indeed. And those are prescriptions, so we had to plan that out.
Oh, yeah,
time.
yeah. This is months and months advance. So looking at any tricks that Seitaro might have, it looks like Multi-Switch is in the deck. He's got a Buzzwole from Forbidden Light in his deck as well. So he's got a few things that may be able to start surprising, but I mean, Klive's already 3 prizes in. He's immune. So a lot of things have to go right for Seitaro here. Even throwing away a puzzle of time. Never want to do that, but it's the situation he's in. Found double colorless, though.
Seitaro needs to... Well, he needs to get the Zygarde out of the active. Bloodthirsty Eyes can do that, but then if it takes a knockout, the Zygarde will just come right back up.
All right, so it looks like he does have the combination of cards. So he can Bloodthirsty Eyes first, bring up anything. Who cares? And then use Guzma.
Very nice.
And he's got the Tapu Lele, who currently is... Actually, it is in range of being knocked out by a Buzzwole Sledgehammer. A little unfortunate. At least he wouldn't have to lose a Zoroark to this, though.
That is a little bit of an upside, but of course, Seitaro now down to 4 prizes. Sledgehammer deals an additional 90 damage. And with other damage modifiers, the Choice Band attached, and Klive with the Diancie on the bench, that's going to be within range for a knockout if Klive has a fighting energy. Or strong.
Look at that. He found the fighting energy immediately. So very nice for Klive. He can take a little sigh of relief and then use his supporter for the turn.
That's quite nice. He is still looking for another attacker to put on the bench. He has the Rockruff set up, so Lycanroc can be played when it is most useful for him. But looking probably for that Zygarde if he can find another double colorless energy. He's got it in hand. Yeah,
most of the time with the decks that we see Lycanroc, once you've used your GX attack, you're going to think, oh, Lycanroc's not very good here. But this deck plays for double colorless energy, so you definitely have opportunities where you can just attack with a Claw Slash from Lycanroc and take knockouts. So even one energy on a Rockruff is still very dangerous if Klive is able to set that up. However, he does also have Zygarde if he chooses to go that route. It looks like the Rockruff is going to be the play, though.
Yeah, he's spreading around his resources a little bit there. He's got the Choice Band on the Rockruff and the Choice Band, I believe, on that benched Zygarde. So just prepping for any and every scenario that he could possibly need to respond to.
We've had 4 turns for Klive, and he has had 5 prize cards taken.
Yep.
It doesn't add up very well.
Nope. But, I mean, when you have 4 energy stacked on a Pokemon that's taking one-hit knockouts every turn by turn 2, you're going to be winning some fast games.
Yeah, and he definitely looks like he is in a great spot for that. Seitaro does not have any good attackers to work with, no energies in play. He does have a Buzzwole that can do some damage, but do you really want to be bringing up a Buzzwole in this scenario? I don't think you're going to do too much with it.
How does he possibly ensure that he doesn't have a single Pokemon knocked out? No, he knows that it's not going to be possible. So Klive going to take game number 1 very, very quickly. Like you were saying there, Kyle, it just took 4 turns and he'd taken 5 prizes. So he wants to do exactly that again. And Seitaro, he didn't get off to a bad start himself. He had a couple of Zoroark there on the bench. It's just that, how do you respond to a start like that from Zygarde?
Yeah, it's very difficult. And I think that for Seitaro, he needs to use his Tapu Lele as his main attacker in the opening against that Zygarde. If he doesn't get immediately knocked out, if 170 is actually a difficult number for Klive to hit, which it can be occasionally. It's hard to get those strong energies into play. You only play 2, and sometimes you just don't find the damage amplifiers. If you can get multiple uses out of that Tapu Lele, you can remove Zygarde from the field, and then you can start to use maybe your Buzzwole Sledgehammer and get some relevant damage down. But he just lost so many prizes so early that it never became a factor.
His best chance here is probably going to be, like you said, using that Lele, get that first Zygarde out of the way, and then force Klive to take an additional turn to Cell Connector with a backup Zygarde, or he does always have that Buzzwole, but he only has a single copy of it, so there is a chance that he does not have that as a backup attacker. But a lot of the time, it does sort of feel like the worst enemy of the Zygarde deck is the Zygarde deck itself.
Yes.
You know, if you don't get what you need early on, you're just going to shoot yourself in the foot. You can't possibly set up. So here, Seitaro is going to just be hoping that he does not have a repeat of what happened last game.
Yep, and Klive, he got very fortunate in the way that he drew, and we'll see if he's able to continue that. That just may be the consistency factor of this deck. He did all of that with a Guzma as his supporter for the turn on turn 1. We'll see if he maybe has to use a different supporter and makes it a little more difficult, or who knows. I mean, that's pretty wild.
But I mean, look at the way that Zygarde is positioned in this meta. We have a lot of Zoroark. And Zygarde does not have Psychic weakness. It has Grass weakness. Yep. So it's able to take those early knockouts onto basic Pokemon like Zorua, like Rockruff, Inkay if you're running into Malamar. And then it simply does not have the weakness that most people are teching for.
Yeah, and as soon as you have Diancie Prism Star in your deck and any of your opening cell connectors are doing 70 damage into basic Pokemon, that pretty much knocks out every relevant basic Pokemon that we know that isn't a Pokemon GX.
Yep. Well, a Zygarde start for Klive, but Seitaro going to have Bridget on turn 1, and he had the ideal basics on the bench last game, even without a Bridget. And it still went south very, very quickly for him, but getting pretty much the ideal start again this game.
Yep, he's able to find multiple Zorua. He has the Rockruff as a potential threat too. Honestly, Klive doesn't have much of an answer to an opposing Lycanroc, so he could start to see that as an attacker if he can get an energy attachment on there early.
Yeah. Klive doesn't have to completely load up his bench, but you're playing a Tapu Lele for support. We saw the Oranguru come down, and of course you do have Diancie and Regirock EX as damage modifiers, so it's very likely his board will fill up relatively quickly. We do see the double colorless, a knockout on the Zorua. Did he have fighting energy in the discard? I believe just the one.
He's got
he's got none.
He's played no cards.
Okay, well, who really cares, I guess?
Yeah. I mean, the only thing that threatens him right now is Claw Slash. It's not like Dangerous Rogue's going to do anything here.
I looked away for 1 second. I just assumed that he did a bunch of stuff.
Right. You'd think he'd played a turn, but no, he just said,
he just DCE and attacked.
That's a knockout. I like knockouts.
Well, not as good as his start in the last game, but taking a knockout turn 1 is still very good. So he is not going to have Land's Wrath on turn 2. Yeah, but very likely he'll be able to secure it for turn 3.
Yep. I guess there is a weird scenario. Maybe he goes max elixirs, but he'd have to draw a lot of spice.
We saw he didn't even play a supporter last turn.
Yeah.
And there were a couple of things that he could have offloaded from his hand. He had a choice band, just didn't care to place it down just yet.
Just need to make sure he's shuffling properly. All right.
You can hear our judge, David, just making sure that Seitaro is shuffling properly.
Yep. Have been some insufficient shuffling warnings in the past today. So just wanting to ensure that everything is fair.
Yep. All right, so we do see the Lycanroc. It comes down. No real reason to use Bloodthirsty Eyes. I think you want to get the damage onto the relevant attacker as soon as possible.
Yeah, this is a very good start for Seitaro. One Zygarde on the bench, Lycanroc up and setting up for that 2-hit knockout against that active Zygarde, which means that Klive does not have the time to get 2 additional energy onto the active Zygarde. It's just going to be knocked out first.
Slowly but surely, Klive will continue to take knockouts. He does have a Buzzwole along with that Guzma, so he's going to target down the Zorua, but he's not really accomplishing too much here.
Choking out the resources a little bit, but not advancing his own board state nearly enough. And Seitaro can afford to go down early on a couple prizes. As long as this third Zorua doesn't get knocked out, I think he should still be okay.
Yep. Seitaro is actually, if he can draw pretty well here, we could see the Buzzwole come into play, Sledgehammer, 4 prizes. There are certain scenarios where you could actually take a knockout here.
This is some unique shuffling.
Yeah. I've seen very interesting different styles. We've seen all sorts of stuff, but just as long as it's randomized, I'm okay. So we see Ultra Ball's strong energy, so some cards that can help out. That means Sledgehammer could reach 140, but yeah, it's not going to be enough, so Star's going to keep on going.
Trades that puzzle. Enhanced Hammer there to knock off the double colorless from the benched Zygarde. And going to start setting up for that Lycanroc. Second Lycanroc of his.
Yeah, it seems to be a nice attacker for him. He knows that they can take a few hits, and it's not as vulnerable as the Zoroark. And Klive really just hasn't been able to do much. I think if you just claw slash your way, you'll eventually get there.
Yeah, Seitaro's the one dealing more damage.
So I think this is the other 50% we were talking about, right?
Yep, yeah, it is.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Just making sure.
Except, it's unfortunate because with this 50%, you still start off with a double colorless, and you're like, oh, I got a knockout. Yeah, I can draw my way out of this. And then you just don't.
You just, one more card, and I'd be okay. Just one Sycamore, and I'm there.
Maybe it's like 40%, 40%, and then this is like the false hope 20.
Yeah, this is yikes.
Yeah, this one's sad because you still play it out. And it never ends well.
Well, we will see. Seitaro is going to use Dangerous Rogue here. Gets to take the knockout.
Oh.
So I guess that energy is a strong energy there.
Yeah.
Else Claw Slash would have been a lot better.
Hard to see, but
yeah, I would assume.
At the bottom.
It's a lot more text than a double colorless.
Okay, so this is just going to be a cell connector.
Yep.
450. And only equipping the one basic fighting from the discard, because that's all that was there. If you do have 2 basic fighting in your discard pile, even if you don't want to attach 2 of them, it does not say up to 2, it says 2.
Yeah,
so you have to take them.
Take them and like them. If you're trying to play around a Tapu Lele, too bad.
Nope.
So Seitaro is going to bring in his Zoroark with the stand-in ability, and he is going to get some damage. I don't think it's very much. Mind Jack doesn't do much when your opponent has 1 Pokemon on their bench.
No, very, very strong against other Zoroark decks, I would say, because they're looking to bench as many Pokemon as possible.
Yep, maybe Rayquaza.
Yep.
But not here.
Does Klive have a way back into this? They are even on prizes, both sitting at 4. Klive hasn't had a chance to go for his non-GX Buzzwole at any point, where he could have taken a Sledgehammer knockout.
It's interesting. Most of the decks that we see from European players or even American players, their tech card of choice is often the Delinquent in Zoroark decks, and that would have been very crucial into making sure Klive can do absolutely nothing. But we don't see that too much from the Japanese players. Presumably, we just haven't seen it on stream yet. We saw Takuya Yaneda playing earlier, and he had almost every disruption card except for Delinquent.
Yeah.
And when your opponent has no hand or just very little of a hand, it'd be pretty nice. But wow, look at this Ultra Ball top deck. Finally, Klive might be able to start moving.
A single Tapu Lele GX in the deck.
He can do anything he wants now. He's finally going to get to see his Tapu Lele. Grab a supporter and get going, but is it too late?
I think it's there.
Yep, there it is. It's
the Rainbow Rare.
Very shiny.
Blink and you miss it.
Yep.
They all kind of look the same from afar. Very pretty, but...
Yeah, Rainbow Rares, when they were first introduced, I was not very pleased as a commentator.
They make our lives harder.
Everyone would be, especially when Drampa Garbodor was the deck, and you just see the Rainbow Drampa and the Rainbow Lele's filling the board.
Yeah.
I had no idea what was what.
Do you have a rarity preference when playing? Because I'm sort of the camp, I like one of each if I can to, like, catch my eye when I'm shuffling through to see.
Yeah, that's a lot of players like Ross. I know they like to do that. He even does that with his energies. He'll do one of every different energy. It's wild. I go standard lowest rarity everything if I can.
Nice.
I want to get out of there as cheap as possible.
I like it. Your opponents are going to be like,
this guy.
Non-full arts?
This must be the wrong stable house. He has no idea what he's doing.
And then you just like,
yep,
get him. A surprise attack.
If Jason Klaczynski can win 3 world championships with lowest rarity, then I'm going to do
He's
it
onto
too.
something.
I'm going to try.
All right, Rockruff and Lycanroc found. Can attach the Strong and Land's Wrath.
Yep.
But that doesn't feel too good.
If he's worried about being knocked out, he could go ahead and use his GX attack.
Oh, yeah. That might actually be it. There's no non-GX Pokemon that are set up to attack once this Zoroark is knocked out.
Yep. I think this is where Seitaro was really thinking ahead. He used a non-GX Pokemon as the way to get damage onto this Zygarde, and this means that Klive would have needed multiple cards in order to get himself in a great position using Verdict into a GX Pokemon. That means that Verdict, with 2 prizes left, probably means that Klive's Zygarde is going to be sticking around to take the last 2 prizes. Now it's up to Klive to find a way to get a different Pokemon into the active spot here. I don't know if he has any way to bring up with like Lycanroc, but
he's got a Guzma in hand, but Sycamored this turn already.
yeah, so if he does have to use the GX attack into a non-GX Pokemon, it feels like a wasted attack, but almost a necessary attack because he can't afford to lose this Zygarde with 4 energies.
You invest a lot into Zygarde in the mid-game. If you don't sweep with an early one, or sweep or get the first knockout and then follow up with like a Buzzwole, you end up having to deviate quite a bit to invest into a second Zygarde, and that's exactly what we're seeing here. Although I think this is still just the first Zygarde, and he had a very rough go of the early game. Oh no.
Yeah, Klive, he's thinking otherwise. He's going to attach to the Rockruff.
Okay. Setting up for a Dangerous Rogue GX, perhaps, and he still gets the knockout with the... How much health does Standard Zoroark have?
It's got 100.
Okay,
so
then it's in
Yep.
perfect knockout.
Yep. So Klive probably recognized, well, even if I use my Verdict GX, I'm not doing any relevant knockouts here. Seitaro could just as easily bring up my other damaged Zygarde, and then I'm in the same boat. Eventually, I'll just get knocked out, and 4 prizes down, I lose the game. So might as well get an energy onto the Rockruff. The Lycanroc would be able to survive a big attack. He'd still keep his GX attack, so Dangerous Rogue could do some relevant damage. And maybe Seitaro just misses on a Guzma, but wow, the Enhanced Hammer, that just makes everything go away. Klive is back at step 1.
Massive. And the knockout on the Zygarde. Seitaro goes down to 2 prizes.
We need to see Max Elixir out of Klive before the evolution. He has to focus on this Dangerous Rogue from a Lycanroc, but he doesn't have any of the pieces from what I've seen.
That is one of the aspects of the Zygarde deck that we just really have not seen Klive be able to utilize to boost up your benched Zygarde to be able to come in and attack immediately after the first one's knocked out. You need those Max Elixirs.
Right, and he plays 3, and he expects to see them, and he's been trying to go through his deck, but he's only had 1 relevant supporter for that, so unfortunately just hasn't really progressed for him, and looks like Cynthia might be the best option for him. Actually, evolving here just takes that option completely out of it. Could start to focus on the Buzzwole, perhaps, if he finds the strong energy. Maybe he can get some relevant damage onto the Zoroark GX.
Try to keep that trapped in the active. Hope that Seitaro doesn't have a way to move around the board. He still does need a GX knockout, and with Dangerous Rogue GX having been used, he... no, he's got that bench Lycanroc with the double colorless and the fighting attached, so he does have Claw Slash.
I think that hurt.
Yeah.
Klive, he just found 1 card off of his Oranguru, and he has no energy attachment this turn.
He's trying to stall. Force Seitaro to take the knockout on the Oranguru. Then he still needs to take 1 more to win the game.
Yep.
Is 1 more turn, even if it's a perfect turn, though, enough for Klive if Seitaro takes this knockout?
Well, Seitaro does have 1 trade here, so he has some outs. Tapu Lele, any Guzma. Nope, not yet. Those cards are actually pretty irrelevant. He's going to have to just pass the turn back as well.
Wow.
He might use this Bridget to try to thin out a little bit, but yeah, he's in a bad spot too. He could lose this Zoroark, and maybe one more N would just be enough to seal out Seitaro's hand for good.
Is the stall good enough from Klive? I mean, this is the ideal scenario. Bring that Oranguru up, bring that Zoroark up, and try to trap it there in the active if Seitaro doesn't have, any way to get it out. And that's exactly what we're seeing here. So even after a very slow start for Klive, it's looking like he has an avenue back to win this game. And even if he doesn't, we've got 20 minutes on the clock.
Yep,
These are not very slow games.
Yeah, we've seen 5-turn games and whatnot, so definitely room for a third game if Seitaro
means
was
we're
able to
going to
pull
have a
this out.
winner.
I've been waiting for that for a while now.
All day. Just been ties.
Thankfully, on the main stage, Takuya Yaneda was able to give me one, so
That was a good one.
counting my lucky stars.
Seems like whenever you and I are casting together, it's pretty much guaranteed to be a tie.
Yep. All right, so we see the Max Elixir, but I don't see a way to thin this hand out in order to find a float stone, so Klive is stuck once again.
That is the downfall of playing Oranguru and Scorched Earth instead of 4 Brooklet Hill and then a Remoraid Octillery line.
Right. Immediately finds that energy.
He does have Ultra Ball in hand.
Oh, very good. Okay, so that helps out. It's not going to find anything off it, but might as well look through. Okay, float stone. It's in there, right? Okay, let's try to get it. I definitely think getting a nice attack off this turn would be really good for him. Even if he's just attacking with a Buzzwole, some damage into that Zoroark could certainly help him out here.
He just needs to take a Zoroark knockout and then maybe even the Oranguru if he can bring that up from the bench.
So we're going to see trade. Looking for Guzma. There it is. We have a game 3.
All right, that's going to be game for Seitaro. Klive, very close if he could have knocked out the Zoroark. And one of the bench, he would have won the game, but he wasn't able to lock Seitaro out of attacking for quite long enough. So we're going to go to game number 3. That second one, too slow of a start for Klive. That was not the Zygarde that he wanted to bring to this tournament. That's not the Zygarde that he thinks is going to win him the World Championships.
Yeah. The game 3 Zygarde is what's going to win it for him, right? This is where he brings out the magic. Maybe it's just on again, off again. He just takes off game 2, relaxes, lets his Zygarde take a break, and then, all right, buddy, it's time for some nice cell connectors. Let's do it.
So it's an every other style of play.
Yeah.
You go hard game 1, take off game 2, then ramp it back up for game 3. Well, the strategy has certainly been working for him so far in the tournament. Both of these players 3-0 and 1. Looking like you need a 5-1-1 record at least to make the cut for top 8.
Yep.
As of right now, both of these players are in the top 8.
All right.
Oh, yeah, if we were stopping
let's
here.
just cut it right here.
Not quite how it worked.
Nope.
Nah, but they will be very close.
We can go over a couple of the top players that are already looking to start locking in on that top 8 spot. Christopher Szymanski's 4-0 here at the World Championships. So looking pretty well here. Joey Rudiger's 3-0-1. Takuya Yaneda 3-0-1. So a lot of very relevant names here trying to start locking up some spots over the next couple games.
Yeah, I want to say Alex Szymanski as well. Christopher Szymanski's brother is at 3-1.
Yep.
So
I don't know if they're both playing the same deck. I looked
not
at
sure.
Christopher. I think Alex added in a Banette to his deck and made it a little extra wild. I don't think Chris went that route, but who knows? So, little brothers are crazy.
You're telling me. I give my brother 60 cards and he just wins every time. Fly, excuse me. I'm going to need a judge's ruling on whether or not that fly is interfering.
Yeah, that's outside help.
You know what? No, I think he's just a big Klive fan.
He's hanging out on the top of the deck. It just doesn't bother either player as well. Good for you guys. Oh, man.
Very
Okay.
focused.
Yeah, I would
Oh,
be
that's
focused
rough.
too if my hand
Oh,
was that
geez.
terrible.
Active Lele, puzzle of time,
Oh,
just to see what you're working with.
you know,
Ouch.
if Clive's allowed to attach double colorless and knock me out, maybe it'll work for me. And energy drive for 40 is
Is that
a
how
little.
math works?
I don't think so.
Close. But
Halfway there.
he's got nothing better to do right now. This next turn for Seitaro is going to be very important because Clive's going to be ramping up here.
Yep.
Brooklet Hill on 1 means he gets his ideal bench.
However, this does help out Seitaro. This actually may be a little bit of a misstep. This means that if Seitaro weren't able to find any good cards off of the Puzzle of Time, he can just search out, grab a Rockruff, and shuffle his deck, potentially finding a relevant card here. So maybe Clive should have waited one turn, seen if the Pokemon, or if any card that Seitaro draws is relevant, and then you play, you hold on to the Brooklet Hill if nothing relevant happened. If something does happen, then of course you play your Brooklet Hill, get your Pokemon.
Yeah, you don't want to be helping out your opponent ever.
He's just a great guy.
He's just so friendly.
Speaking of great guys, Verdict GX is pretty great.
That's a great guy. And that's going to be taking a very fast knockout.
What's this card? It's an N? Okay. He's got
my Zygarde.
he's got Evo Soda? Was it even an N? Do my eyes deceive me? At least Evo Soda would
I'm
mean
blinded by
trades are
the
available.
turn 2 Verdict GX.
Yeah, that does that to people.
Clive giving Seitaro no time to come back from that bad start. Capitalizing on it as much as he possibly can. Going to bench that Rockruff.
Yep, he actually has a pretty solid response here. The Evo Soda, the Enhanced Hammer, and the N are all pretty great ways to start to combat this board, but you're battling weakness, you're battling a poor start. Your opponent has a lot of good stuff going for them, and he's already taken 2 prize cards, so is this going to be enough? We're going to find out after this N if he can get something going.
So Zygarde can't deal any damage to, or Zoroark cannot deal any damage to Zygarde this turn, even if Seitaro has the double colorless. And then Zygarde with Land's Wrath, if Clive has another double colorless energy, can take the knockout.
Very important to see what Clive is able to draw off of this, just as much as Seitaro. Seitaro feels the pressure, but Clive has to continue to keep his foot on the pedal.
Okay, we're going to trade in that Ultra Ball, draw 2.
Finds double colorless energy, so he's got a little bit of damage working for him. I think this is a turn where you just have to risk it, and you just play down everything you have, and you attack for 80.
He cannot. Verdict GX.
Oh, right.
Yep.
That'd be terrible.
No, he can't deal damage this turn.
Yep. After I saw the double colors disappear, I just left my mind. Oh, that happened.
It's very rare that you see a GX attack on the first turn, unless it's like Big Wheel or Tempest or something like that. Okay, so this is going to be Cell Collector for 100. No basic fighting energy in the discard pile.
Yeah, he did not draw well off of that end of 4. Found Buzzwole, Guzma Float.
No supporters.
Seitaro, he does have 1 trade available to him, so he's going to use that now. Threw away Bridget, but he's got to start doing some damage here. He wants to protect his Zoroark as well. At least is only dealing with 100 damage, so it's 3-hit knockouts. But no one ever feels comfortable taking 100 damage at a time.
Well, if you've got 210 health, you're feeling a little bit better about it.
Right.
All right, so a trio of Zorua onto the bench.
The mid-game bridge. It's a classic.
I'm a huge fan of the turn 4 bridge.
Yeah. But this is what he has to do in this scenario. He can get some good damage down onto the Zygarde. He's not at threat of a knockout just yet, so has to feel a little good there. And this really just sets up for him to chain draws together and draw a lot of Zoroarks, hopefully seeing many, many trades. And eventually, if he just sees all the cards and Klive sees none of them, he will win this game in this match.
Klive had pretty much the best start that he could have hoped for, and he top decks the Sycamore.
Woof. That is pretty
Oh,
good.
baby. That's exactly what he needed. A double colorless drawn as well. So he can attach and get the knockout on the Zoroark. If he has a choice band, he can take the knockout without needing the double colorless.
Oh, yeah, he does have that float stone down, so he maybe Deancey would be able to help him out there. But yeah, it looks like he won't be able to search that out.
Yeah, Seitaro still at 6 prizes, so no Sledgehammer activations just yet. Okay, there's attach and a choice band, so that
Okay.
is going to be the knockout with Sledgehammer.
Oh, I was looking at it from Zygarde's perspective. Okay, yeah, Buzzwole's much better here. Like, Zygarde could hit for like 100.
Yeah.
Yep, and Buzzwole's a great Pokemon to lead with. This is difficult for Seitaro to deal with. I don't know if he has any amplifiers like Reverse Valley or Devoured Field to help out hitting that magical 130. So might have to find another way to work around that. I don't think Sledgehammer's going to help him out here. Does have Mew available to knock this out. However, he would just lose the game if Klive were to find a double colorless energy.
We got Buzz v. Buzz here. It's that Fly's favorite matchup. Not sure how he got a spectator pass, but I think we'll let it slide this time.
He's been on both decks. He's making his way around. I'm going to wash my hands after this game.
He has no allegiance. You can't trust that Fly. There's no loyalty there.
That's right. Whoever's winning, he just goes over, says hi.
He's such a bandwagoner. I hate those kind of Flies.
All right, so we will see trade. Yeah, it looks like Mew is going to be the response here. If Klive has the double
safe bet.
colorless, though.
This could just be game. Promote the Rockruff with the float stone on it. There's the double
Wow.
colorless, and that's going to be the match. Klive Junji is going to take it 2-1, and Zygarde is going to a 4-0-1 match record. One more win, and then an ID into the top 8.
Yeah, very impressive by this player, man. Klive has done so well, and with Zygarde nonetheless, that's pretty impressive. Able to work his way through this match here against a deck that it looked like he had a pretty great matchup against, honestly. Playing against Zoroark decks, you have to feel favored, and you just hope that your deck draws very well enough to stay into the game. And Game 2 wasn't there for him, but Game 3, he found his way through, even though